In this video, I talk about my enjoyment for the anime recreators. I don't go too much in depth in regards to story and outcomes of the show, as I mainly go over the synopsis, but I'll say it anyway. There will be mild spoilers ahead. Also, do forgive me, it has been a long time since I've watched the show, so I do apologize in advance for any details I get wrong. So back in 2020, I was browsing through YouTube and encountered an anime opening from the anime recreators amongst the suggested videos. This brought back some memories, as I remembered bumping into this show a lot back in 2017, thinking it was some form of sequel to Re:Zero. Both anime have Re in the title, so go figure my misunderstanding. But I was watching other anime at the time, so recreators went under the radar in general for me. I was also a fan of shows that have many characters from extremely different backgrounds and abilities. A primary example I tend to lead with was the anime Invaders of the Rokujima. In this show, you have a regular human, a magical girl, an alien princess, and an underground dweller, all playing board games as a form of competition on who gets to control the most space in the room they're battling over. I love this concept a lot, seeing how characters with different abilities and perspectives interact with one another. It led to me going on a streak to watching similar shows of this undefined genre, and recreators once again made it on my radar. So, Recreators is a reverse isekai anime where characters from various medias like video games, animes, mangas, etc. suddenly come to our world with no idea what's going on or how they entered our world in the first place. And not only that, they also come along with all their abilities, powers, and weapons from their original worlds. This is such a cool concept, as you get to see characters culture shock when they enter our world, as you have characters from medieval settings, sci-fi settings, modern day settings, all having things to say about the world that we live in. So with all the characters of different backgrounds and abilities getting with the grips of their situations and exploring our world, they also find out that their whole lives had been for our entertainment. In addition to that, they also discover that in our world, we write or design their lives to be the way that they were. So for the characters that led tragic stories in their world, going through suffering after suffering just for that character development, they didn't take kindly to that information, but characters that led happier times, they were chill. Despite that though, you begin to have two factions of these creations. One side who gives their suffering purpose, and hunts down their creators who wrote their stories the way they did, and another side who defends these creators from the opposition. This is where things got really fun. Not only the creations have differing backgrounds in terms of the world they're from, they also differ from the type of shows and mediums they came from. For example, there was one moment in the show where a magical girl fights our Asuna equivalent from Sword Art Online. To say she absolutely destroyed Asuna was an understatement. You see, Miss Magical Girl was from a kids show originally, and their formula, their whole shtick, was to defeat the monster of the week every week, like Power Rangers. They do not lose. So because of that, the Magical Girl's powers far outclasses the opposition. However, this was a double-edged sword, because Miss Magical Girl was from a kids show, which is PG all things considered, so her using her powers in our world gave her quite a shock, because usually there isn't blood. So following the battle, Miss Magical Girl goes into a state of regret after seeing what her powers are actually capable of in the real world, going from someone from Lucky Star in personality to Subaru from Re:Zero. These were the kinds of interactions I loved seeing when watching Recreators. It was so fun going episode after episode just to see how our characters react to their situations and adapt from the absolute culture shock of our world and other creations. Now outside of the overall concept of the show, I also love the music. 2 words, Hiroyuki Sawano. So if you don't know who that is, I'm quite surprised, but you might know his music. He's the composer behind Owari no Seraph, I'll Know a Zero, and a small anime called Attack on Titan. Alongside those shows, he was also behind the soundtrack of Recreators. So if you love the soundtrack of Attack on Titan, give the show a shot. One of my favourite tracks from Recreators was Brave the Ocean. Now, I'm not going to play the music here, as I don't want to get copyright hammered, but you can find it somewhere on YouTube for sure. But when I listen to it, I can picture so many characters zipping, flying, and jumping across the nightly skyline of Tokyo together. It felt so fitting for the show and probably one of my favourite soundtracks. There's also another soundtrack called Layers, which was also really fun, that plays during the large battles between groups of characters. It made battles feel conflicted, as you have characters who were heroes in their stories become villains in our world, and characters who were villains in their stories become heroes in ours. It demonstrated the confusion and conflicts the characters of both sides were having when this track was played, Also, these tracks are also lyrical, wherein those lyrics actually apply to the overall world of recreators in general. I think it was pretty neat how dedicated music was to the show, as opposed to the soundtrack just being a soundtrack to drive an emotion. It gives the feeling that music was meant for the overall story for the show. I loved it. There's a whole lot more I would love to talk about recreators, but I think it's better experienced rather than told. I'm hoping I only just touched the tip of the iceberg, but as I said at the start of the video, my memory is kind of hazy for this show. Though I must say there are some iffy moments in the show as a general consensus for the people who watched it, which I don't think I have the knowledge to cover as it's been a while since I last seen the show, but take it from me, the pros far outweigh the cons when it comes to recreators. Overall, I really loved this show as an overall concept and love the music. If you guys have any suggestions for similar shows, please do share in the comments section below. If you guys wanna absolutely roast my opinions of this show, you can do that too. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye for now.